Who's the GOAT? MJ or LeBron? What's up, guys? This is Mighty Q here with Mighty Q's Locker, and today I'm going to be diving into a GOAT conversation, and I'm going to be using this conversation to do future conversations because I set this up in a way of it just takes a little bit of context. So, if you guys enjoy this episode, as always, like with all other episodes, all I ask is that you share the show with a friend and you leave a review. So, let's get into the debate. I'm going to flat out say it right at the very beginning. I think Michael Jordan is the best player of all time. And the reason I say that is I came to this conclusion when I was in the pool the other day because I started doing swimming workouts again, and when you're in the pool, you don't have headphones, you don't have a speaker, and I was randomly thinking, and the thing that popped in my head was, who's a better runner, Usain Bolt or a marathon runner? And the answer is, it depends on what you're asking in terms of running, because Usain Bolt is the best sprinter of all time, but he's not necessarily the best runner, because if you look at running and you think that running long distance is the absolute best, then there's no doubt that a marathon runner would be better. But if you look at it as, well, I think it matters about, who can do it faster and speed and top speed and stride length, whatever things you want to start to compile into that. But it just takes a little bit of context, and that's what I want to do with this MJ-LeBron debate. The reason I say that MJ is better than LeBron is based solely on the fact that LeBron came after Jordan. He's played now for 5 years more, and he still doesn't have the same amount of the big major categories that people always talk about. I'm not diving into, MJ 6-0. Like, I don't knock LeBron for making it to the finals and losing, but the fact that he's only won 4 does have a little bit of an extra bearing, because LeBron's been chasing Jordan his entire career, and I also think that the way that he's built some of his teams have been especially built to get to the finals and attempt to win finals, because he knows that what a lot of people are going to look at is, well, MJ has 6 rings and 6 finals MVPs versus LeBron has 4 and 4 finals MVPs. That is a big part of the category. Now, yes, LeBron did it with 3 different teams, but you can also look at it as those were 3 teams that were built based around LeBron and everything with that, versus the majority of, Jordan's entirely was based just playing with Scottie Pippen, plus his supporting cast never was as offensively gifted as what LeBron's offensive talent was around him. You can go look at the stats. You can go look at it. It's kind of ridiculous when you actually look at the best offensive stats for their supporting cast in each. So the reason I say this is because I've looked at a lot of different stats and I looked at a lot of different things. And when it really boils down to it, LeBron and MJ, it's like comparing a sprinter to a marathon runner. LeBron hasn't beaten longevity. LeBron only played all 82 games 1 time. MJ did it 9 times. Not only did MJ play all the regular season game 9 times, MJ didn't miss a game from March of 1995 through June of 1998 when he completed his second three-peat. That is an insane stat, because MJ went out there and played hard every single night, wasn't doing any load management, wasn't doing any of the science-based things, whatever that is going on with kind of the new technology and the way that science and sports training has developed. And that may have led to Jordan having a little bit longer of a career. But to play all 82 games 9 times versus LeBron's 1 is a very big factor in that. If, let's say, MJ took 10 games off in the regular season, 8 times, that could have led to him playing an entire, maybe extra season, maybe 2, at a higher peak. Plus, MJ did also retire and leave, whether you say it's from gambling or it's just truly that he wanted to go play baseball, which he was actually quite committed to baseball when you watch The Last Dance and you watch some of the things that he was really doing with baseball. So he left right at kind of part of his prime, because he then turned around and came back and had the second three-peat. But LeBron played for 20 years. And the reason I say that it's really hard to compare MJ and LeBron is because it's a lot easier to compare LeBron to Kareem than it is to try to compare him to Jordan. And if you look at it and you go, well, does anyone say that Kareem is better than Jordan? The answer is no. I've never heard anyone ever say that Kareem is better than Jordan. Kareem was the all-time points leader until LeBron just broke it. Kareem had played for 20 years. Kareem had 6 rings. But yet, no one ever said that Kareem was better than Jordan. So now that LeBron has come along and has now played his 20th year, still doesn't have the amount of rings, still doesn't have the finals MVPs, still doesn't have the actual MVPs. He's got them beaten All-Stars, but it's also because he's played for 20 years. But you start to look at some of the major things, and LeBron just has them in longevity. If you flip their 2 careers, and let's say that MJ came after LeBron, you would still say that MJ is the greatest player to ever play. And the reason that's because we saw it with Kareem. Kareem played for 20 years, won 6 rings, had 2 finals MVPs, had 6 MVPs, 19 All-Stars, 19 All-NBA first teams, had 5 second teams, had 5 defensive first teams, had 6 defensive second teams. Also did the same that Jordan did with the Rookie of the Year and the Rookie first team. Was a rebounding leader and a blocks leader 4 times. He also was a 3-time NCAA champ with a 3-time National College Player of the Year, and also had 3 Final Four Most Outstanding Player awards. Kareem was a phenomenal basketball player, not to mention that he was also the leading point scorer. But yet, MJ came after him, and not a single person will sit here and try to tell you that Kareem is better than Jordan. The only reason people say that LeBron's better than Jordan is because he's now playing after him. LeBron's the new Kareem. He passed him in the all-time points, but yet he still lacks in championships. He lacks in finals MVPs. He lacks in league MVPs. He hasn't passed in All-Stars. They both have 3 MVP of the All-Star games. LeBron has him at 13 versus 10 All-NBA first teams. And LeBron also has 3 second-team finishes, and he also has 3 third-team finishes. But Jordan was a Defensive Player of the Year. Jordan has 9 defensive first teams versus 5 for LeBron, and LeBron has 1 second team. They both won Rookie of the Year. They both were Rookie first team. And now you start to get into the actual scoring. MJ was a 10-time scoring champ. LeBron did it once. That is a big difference. This is where you start to look at Jordan is more of a Usain Bolt than he is a marathon runner. LeBron's the second greatest player to play the game. And he only kind of recently did that because I'd say that he was third until now he passed Kareem. Because in all honesty, if you really compare the two careers since they both played 20, Kareem versus LeBron, Kareem's looks pretty good. Yes, I get it. It was a different game. But what Kareem did, also the fact that he played in college and the fact that I get that LeBron came straight from high school, that is a very big part of it. LeBron's just played for longer. And when you play for longer and you have someone's stats right in front of you that you're chasing, of course it's going to be easy to keep going. Of course it's going to be easy to try to, know exactly what target you have to hit. What was MJ chasing? MJ has 2 three-peats. LeBron's never three-peated once. Yeah, he made it to a bunch of finals. But winning is a very big difference. And yeah, I don't want to make this about rings. I want to make it purely about MJ was a more dominant player the years that he was in the league. Based solely on the fact that he has 10 scoring titles. Played all 82 games 9 times. 2 three-peats is huge. But not only was he winning the scoring titles, the 9-time defensive first team, LeBron did that 5 times. If you look at certain stats, MJ is in a world of his own. It just depends on the context. It depends the way that you really want to sit down and look at it. And that's the reason I say, what if LeBron came first? If MJ came second and LeBron played before him, we all would still be sitting here saying that MJ is the better player. Let's not put in, and I still haven't even mentioned the fact that you look at the gravitas that MJ had, LeBron doesn't have that. MJ made it a global game, not LeBron. MJ had people flocking all over the country at every game with crowds and crowds of people. LeBron doesn't have that. And that's the reason their shoe sales are completely different. That's who tells you who's the greatest of all time. If LeBron was truly a better basketball player than Jordan, that would affect the off-the-court stuff. Everyone understands that MJ changed the game of basketball. MJ changed the NBA. I would say MJ changed the game the same way that Tiger Woods changed the PGA. If not for Michael Jordan, LeBron would not be as big of a name. The game of basketball and the NBA would not be as big of a league and a brand without Michael Jordan. Yeah, Magic and Larry definitely changed the game. They elevated. They made it, a lot more with, the Showtime Lakers, and it was just a changing game. And having that Eastern rival with Larry Bird across the country, 2 big cities going against each other, that was huge for basketball. But once MJ hit the scene, it all changed. And you saw the league plummet as soon as MJ stepped away. LeBron doesn't bring the ratings like MJ does. Hell, at this point, for the last handful of years, all LeBron's done is actually make the ratings worse. I used to watch basketball a lot. I don't anymore. That's in part because of LeBron. I don't care about his politics. I don't care about anything other than them playing a sport. It's the reason why the NFL still owns a day of the week. They do their best to keep all the politics and all the things off the field. Yes, some of it makes on, and what happens? You see the ratings go down. The point is, people turn to sports to get away. That's what it's always meant to be. And that's part of the reason why people loved MJ so much. MJ could have endorsed, the political candidate that people talk about, and some people knock him for not doing it. But MJ also understood he's a basketball player. Yes, he has a voice. Still has one to this day. But his main point was he played basketball. That's where his lane was. I credit LeBron. I like the stuff that he does sometimes with, like some of the schools that he set up. But the problem even about his schools, it's coming out now. Almost, I think none of the kids for the last 5 years have passed a standardized math test. So I like the fact that he has his schools, but we now need to do better with the schools. You can't just be, bringing kids to a school and teaching them the same garbage and not teaching them and not having them advance. If you're going to have a school, have it be excellent. And that's what MJ did best. He was excellent at basketball. And that's really all he tried to be excellent at. Yeah, his ownership thing, it kind of failed. But that's because he was excellent at basketball. I'm not saying he's an excellent GM. I'm saying he's excellent at basketball. And so, maybe LeBron might end up being a better GM in the future one day. Maybe he ends up being a better coach. Maybe he ends up being, better with business in long term with the movie deals and the music and the other things that he's doing. I love that for LeBron. But when it purely comes to basketball, which is the whole point, MJ's way better. We all know it. Stop the nonsense of trying to say that LeBron is really better than him. Just flip their careers. Say that LeBron played first and MJ played second. You would still say that MJ's better. And yeah, it does have to do with the fact that he has 6 rings. 6-0 has a lot better ring to it. 2 3-peats has a lot better ring to it. 6 rings with 6 MVPs has a better ring to it. Let's also not forget the fact that he did it in 15 years. And you can really make an argument because he only did it really with the Bulls. He did it in 13. So should I compare Jordan's 13 years to LeBron's 20? Or do we really want to count the Wizards' years and say, yeah, that was good for it? The best stat there is. MJ playing all 82 games 9 times is what changed the game for him. That's what made him a great player. That's why people love him. They knew if the Bulls were coming to town, Michael Jordan was going to be out there on the court playing at 110%, being absolutely excellent and doing his best he can to bring his team to a victory because he cared about every single game. You can't say the same with LeBron. It's the same thing that I'll get into later with what people want to argue with the nonsense that Aaron Rodgers at one point is better than Tom Brady. We know it's nonsense. We know it's not true. MJ is the greatest basketball player of all time. Kareem came before him, and no one said Kareem was better than Jordan. Now we have the new Kareem and LeBron James that came after him. And guess what? The new Kareem is barely better than the old Kareem. And so to that degree, MJ is still better. Always will be. Always has been. And that's my final debate. That's going to be it for me today, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, like I said, I don't sell anything on this podcast. All I ask is that you share the show with a friend and you leave a review. But I will see you guys next time on my next GOAT debate between Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes.